2 rounds to go in a very unpredictable season, which has seen many a face come and many a face go. But we head to a circuit which has had 2 races in the Formula 1 World Championship in 1994 and in 1995. Of course, on both of those occasions, it would be won by a Benetton driven by a certain 7-time world champion by the name of Michael Schumacher. But here, at what was formerly known as Circuit Tiaida, now known as the Circuit of Okayama, we are here for what is the 11th round of the iRacing Grand Prix Series, streaming live on iRacing Live and brought to you by RaceBot TV. I am #DoYouMind Jake Sperry, joined in the commentary booth by the man named Connery Maddock. Connery, we are in the middle of qualifying here. Some brilliant times are looking to be set, and quite a strong field is to be played here in terms of what is going on. Mark Warmington right now currently just spun on his 2nd lap.
Yes, he has his first preliminary lap times coming through. Peter Berryman putting in a stormer of a lap, which is a 107.9. No one else is anywhere near him at this moment in time, but the likes of Kevin Ellis Jr., Kazuki Umeshima, and Michel de Jong haven't set very representative lap times just yet.
No, they haven't. It is worth taking a look at how qualifying looks right now. Peter Berryman holds a 1.4 second advantage here over the driver of Nicholas Rasmussen here in 2nd position on the grid right now. Actually, as you say that, Kevin Ellis Jr. drops into 2nd position overall. A good lap time from him. Apex 1, Apex 2 then. Here's a 108.5, puts Kevin Ellis Jr. in 2nd position overall. Drivers still looking to set lap times, and the championship is also available to be talked about as we look actually at the number 8 machine of Matteo Calastani having a big moment coming out of what is that long outward curve there, Connery. And that's the thing, trying to get onto the power is so difficult. It's a very high downforce setup, and it's very similar to Brands Hatch like we saw last week.
Yep, exactly, and especially coming out of the outward curve. It's such an extended exit, and the track kind of just levels out as you come up across over the top of the hill, and that is just what has caught out Matteo Calastani. As the track dropped away from him, the grip just isn't there to get the power down, and the car just swapped ends.
Yeah, it did swap ends there, and well, now is a time then to really try and make your way through here in qualifying. It's a difficult process to really get yourself through, and well, when the gaps are as wide as this, Connery, how will drivers be facing in terms of this race?
Well, in terms of your sort of inside the top 5 area, Peter Berryman is off and away with it right now, at least in qualifying, 0.6 of a second ahead of Kevin Ellis Jr. But for the battle between P3, 4, 5, 6, that's still relatively close, all within a 10th or a couple of tenths of a second in qualifying. I think that is where the battles are going to be. So if you're in that pack, expect a lot of congestion, shall we say, on track.
Yeah, a lot of congestion. This circuit is very short. It's very difficult in terms of getting yourself through low speed. And Connery, dealing with that machine can be incredibly difficult in terms of that higher end that you have to deal with. The fact that you're always trying to turn it left and right, and you're always getting the car off balance.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very tricky circuit. Indeed, you have the low downforce sections, especially on the very long back straight, but then you have this middle sector, which is all tight and twisty, pretty much hairpin turns all the way until you get down onto the pit straight. So it's very tough to set up the car here, I suspect, but the one person that has pretty much got the perfect setup right now is Peter Berryman. It's the only driver in the 107s right now with a 107.906. The closest driver to him is that driver of Kazuki Umeshima with a 108.3, and then Kevin Ellis Jr. will round out the top 3 with a welcome back to the iRacing Grand Prix Series. Apologies for some technical issues that we had been experiencing, but we're good to go racing here. This is the grid. On pole position, it's going to be Peter Berryman with a 107.9, followed by Kazuki Umeshima, joining him on the front row in 2nd. Then it's going to be Kevin Ellis Jr. and Matteo Calastani lining up on the row behind your front row. And then it's going to be Nicholas Rasmussen, Mitchell McLeod, Manu Domingo, Michel de Jong, Mark Warmington, Dennis Branch, Ryan Parkins, Ruslan Sabatov, Ronaldo Augusto, Evan Lothoris, Daniel Nogueras, Matteo Ugolotti, Kleber Toffoli and Estevason Oliveira will be your last car on the grid. As your drivers start to get their cars lined up on this grid, we have around about a maximum of 40 seconds to go until we go green flag racing. Just waiting for a couple of drivers down through your field, as a good start here is very, very crucial, especially if you're Kazuki Umashima. You actually have the inside line through the first sector. Rasmussen's careful not to run wide there, as he's still side by side with Kalistani on storming down towards Outward Curb. There's an Apex Racing UK driver, Kevin Ellis Jr., making his way down the inside of Outward Curb, but he's not going to make the move stick. He's still going to have to battle side by side with Matteo Calastrani as they head their way down onto the back straight right now. Calistani has a slow down penalty. There goes Mitchell McLeod around the outside, coming down into the right-hand hairpin, but he's still not going to make the move. He's taking a little bit of contact there, and there's going to be pandemonium back in your field, Paul, and that is not how we wanted this race to start, as there's multiple drivers involved in this one.
Yeah, we've got 4 cars involved in that one. Big incident. We're going to get a replay up on the screen in a second here, but yeah, absolute drama there. Kalistani, not the best start for him there. We'll try and go on board with him possibly. Yeah, we're on board now, looking at this down into the hairpin, and it's get some grass down the inside and bang, around they go. And as you can see, 3 cars together, and then a 4th one comes in into the back of it. That's a big part of your field right there gone.
Yeah, just a list of those involved. It is going to be Mitchell McLeod, Matthew Castrani, Man Domingo. Michel de Jong is going to get himself involved in that one as well as Ruslan Sabatov, who avoided the initial incident and then had to spin all of his own coming down into the corner afterwards. So not a great idea to do that for him. But as we actually return to live pictures right now, at the front it is going to be Peter Berryman leading with Kazuki Umashima behind. Then it's going to be Nicholas Rasmussen trying to battle with Kevin Ellis Jr. coming down into the right-hand hairpin at the end of the back straight as they head themselves into the middle sector right now. Nicholas Rasmussen having a decent run, a very good run indeed at Brands Hatch. Let's see if he can repeat that today here at Okayama, but first he's going to have to defend from the Apex Racing UK car of Kevin Ellis Jr. as Kevin Ellis Jr. doesn't get the power down coming out of the right-hander there coming towards the end of the lap, and that's going to compromise him all the way coming through this last sector, Paul, and he's not going to make the move happen coming down into turn 1.
No, but he's crucially still half a second behind. Now this lap the DRS should be enabled, so these drivers will be able to use that rear wing flap to be able to get a little bit of extra speed in the car in front. You can see at the moment 0.2 seconds behind now as heading into the hairpin, and it's crucial to get a good run out this hairpin, not so much carrying speed in, but it's out, and here's where he'll get the DRS. The flap opens now and he's going down that straight. Will he get close enough to be able to make that move as we're heading into that hairpin? He's looking to the inside, not going to make that move stick for the time being, but he's showing his intentions here as Kevin Ellis Jr.
Yeah, he definitely is as he heads through Revolver, heads through Piper Corner. Now, still not going to be there for a move down into Redmond Corner, which is this left-hand hairpin, followed by Hobbs, which is the right-hand hairpin right after it. Kevin Ellis Jr. just close, but no cigar just for the moment, though. Early on in this race, he has 55 laps to do something, so it's not exactly that he's running out of time. But I think he preferred to get this move done early and maybe try and do something about Peter Berryman and Kazuki Umashima coming towards the end of this race. As again, he's going to have DRS on this pit straight, but he's not getting the run out of the final corner that he needs to make a move down into turn 1, Paul.
Yeah, he's just not close enough on the exit of that final corner. You want to carry as much speed as you can through there, then you carry that speed all the way down the pit straight. He's got DRS. They're not the longest DRS zones here at Okayama, the circuit that used to be called AIDA, of course, but yeah, once again, on this back straight, this is his best opportunity to try and use that DRS, use that slipstream as well, but still not able to get the run out that hairpin and not get close enough. By the way, at the front, Kazuki Umashima now is more than a second behind, so Pete Berryman is making that little bit of a breakaway for him.
Yes, that does definitely seem to be the case. Kazuki Umeshima outside of DRS range on your leader right now, as we still watch this battle between Rasmussen and Kevin Ellis Jr. coming in towards the latter end of the lap right now. And this is the crucial area of the circuit that Kevin Ellis Jr. really needs to get right if he has any chance of making a move coming down into turn 1. But he's not going to get the run that he needs coming out of the final corner. He'll still have that DRS, but again, just like laps previous, he's not going to be able to make his move down into turn number 1. Just having a little bit of a look back through your field for some battles, though. There's still a relatively close one for P number 6 right now. This is going to be Mark A. Warmington versus Ryan Parkins as they head their way through the first sector right now. Behind them, it's going to be a 3-car train for P number 8. There's going to be Dennis Branch, Matteo Ugolotti, and Ronaldo Augusto just trying to tag onto the back of that train. As actually Dennis Branch and Dennis Branch, I was about to say Dennis Branch and Matteo Ugolotti are going to be catching the front 2 right now and try and form a big train here in the mid-pack that we've been so used to seeing in this series, Paul.
Calistani's made a move on De Jong, or has managed to keep a hold of that place, should I say. De Jong really putting the pressure on there. He's about 2 tenths behind as they're going through this second sector here, and really difficult to get the car set up right because you need a little bit of speed, but you also need the grip. As down the inside goes De Jong then, up a position, up to 12th place now for him. He's up ahead, and Calistani, after that first lap incident, he's been struggling away since then.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of damage to the front wing of that Positive Sim Racing car, and that is definitely going to be affecting him, especially in the middle sector of this lap. Don't forget, though, that Michel de Jong, was involved in that instance. We look towards P3, in fact. This is going to be Nicholas Rasmussen versus Kevin Ellis Jr. And, Rasmussen is... And that was actually, that was Kevin Ellis Jr. getting through on Nicholas Rasmussen. Let's see if we can try and get a replay of what happened to instigate that. And that was, it didn't look like the best runs initially for Kevin Ellis Jr. coming out the final corner, but it was actually the move done coming down into turn number 1. He just slung one down the inside, little bit of contact on the exit of the corner, in fact, with Nicholas Rasmussen, just pushing him a little bit wide on exit. But that does mean that Kevin Ellis Jr. is now through into P number 3, Paul. Yeah,
I'm just having a look at the replay now, and they were side by side going through those 2 hairpins towards the end of the lap, and as you say, throws it down the inside. A little bit of rubbing there on the exit of turn number 1, and that's it. Ellis Jr. through up into that 3rd place, and he's pulling away there from Nicholas Rasmussen at the moment. So that battle's pretty much done and dusted. Looking down your field as well, we've still got that battle for P number 6 going on. There's about 8 tenths of a second behind between Warmington and Parkins, with Ugolotti and Branch also close together, with Augusto and Lotharis as well pretty close together. So a long sort of strung out train of cars here, all battling from 6 downwards.
Yeah, let's just hope they get a little bit closer and provide us with some entertainment coming into the middle and the end of this race, if they can manage to do that. Meanwhile, though, just looking at these lap times for these lead pack guys, in fact, Mark A. Warmington last time by actually pulled out 0.2 of a second over Ryan Parkins, but visually that looks to have closed up coming through the start of this lap right now. Ryan Parkins trying to reply to that relatively quick lap from Mark A. Warmington. And Ugolotti also behind these guys also actually pulled out about 0.5 of a second over Ryan Parkins last time by. So this middle of the pack is closing up a little bit. Let's see what the state of things are coming out across the line this time by, though. And Mark A. Warmington will do a 1:10.9. Parkins at 1:10.9 as well, but almost a tenth faster if you look at the other digits. And then it's going to be Matteo Ugolotti taking another couple of tenths of a second out of Ryan Parkins. So I think we'll be seeing a battle between Ugolotti and Parkins relatively shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the graphics there, you can see how Ugolotti has been faster, almost half a second a lap ago, but at least gaining 0.3 of a second per lap these last 3 laps. So interesting to see how he's gaining on these guys in front. But really, Parkins, he's in that difficult spot. He wants to attack the guy in front, but also he's got to be conscious of the driver catching up behind as well for that 7th place. So good, interesting battle building here, and that's the key to it. It's building. We're on lap 9 now, just started lap 9 now. So still a long time to go in this race. 55 lap race, of course.
Yeah, and as a driver yourself, a little bit in the sort of Kias, there's actually Matteo Ugolotti's going to get a good run coming out of the final corner. He's going to have to dart left, dart right, dart left again, try and hang one around the outside of turn 1, trying a little bit of a cutback coming out of turn 2 into turn 3 as well, as Ugolotti's struggling for grip on that outside line. The car just wiggling about all the time. He may still have an opportunity coming down into outward curve, though, as he's darting that car all over the track, trying to find a gap, but just not finding one right now, as that has in fact caused Ryan Parkins to drop back off of Marky Warmington just a little bit, because he had to defend his position. And that's what I was going to mention to you, Paul. As a touring car driver, well, at least in iRacing yourself, you're used to cars very close in front and very close to behind. What's the driver's state of mind in this situation?
I mean, really, you just got to focus in front of you. Try not to let the car behind get too much into your head, because as soon as you do, that's when you start making mistakes. And it was that mistake that Parkins made on the exit of that final corner at the end of the last lap. We'll see how it goes this time around, because really, he's under intense pressure on board with Ugolotti at the moment, looking through this final corner. Parkins gets a better run this time, so he's able to hold on to that position. He's still just got a DRS there on the car in front of Marky Warmington. So those guys still staying pretty close for the time being, but no moves yet for Ugolotti as they're heading through to the start of another lap.
Yep, exactly. And well, they were almost side by side coming down through here last time by, but that is not the case this time, as Ugolotti tries to get himself back into a position where he can challenge Ryan Parkins, as Parkins will not have DRS this time coming down the back straight. He has lost the DRS. He's outside of that 1 second mark off of Mark A. Warmington. I'm sorry for that pun, Paul.
I'm used to it after being a director of you and Jake for long enough. I'm used to comments like that. It's fine. But look at this, Ugolotti getting right up into the gearbox now of Parkins in front, and we're on board with Ugolotti now. And it's these tricky two right-handers here at the end of the lap. Ugolotti went and turned in. He had to take 2 stabs at that penultimate corner there. Through the final corner now, he's going to have the DRS, and so too is Parkins actually. He's got that DRS back again. So obviously that detection point is just a little bit before that last corner, where he's able to just gain enough time on Marky Warmington to catch up to get that DRS for that last lap.
Yeah, it seems that he's basically straddling the line between being 1 second behind Marky Warmington and not being 1 second behind Marky Warmington. As Ugolotti gets a good entry into the outward curve on the big slide coming out of the corner, though, manages to somewhat keep his momentum, not as much though to make a move coming down into the hairpin. But that was a very, very scary moment for Ugolotti that could have easily ended his race if he had not saved it, because the barriers are very close coming out of that section as they head into the middle sector right now. Still not able to make an opportunity of it, but that was definitely hard enough. Moments goes deep in the brakes coming down into Redmond corner, and again you can just see by the way he's driving how desperate he is to get past Parkins.
Well, this is it. It's showing that maybe he's got the pace over Parkins in the race here. I mean, they did qualify. I mean, Ugolotti qualified down in 16th, so up to 8th place already for him. So he hasn't quite got the 1 lap pace, but it appears that he's got the race pace. Looking further back, actually, look at Evan Lotharius. He's got a queue of cars. He's got Augusta and De Jong and Calistani as well. So 4 cars all together in a line. You just saw them just sneaking into the picture in the background there. So those guys definitely all getting closer together. Ugolotti this time not able to get on the power quite as well as Parkins. In fact, darting out to the right-hand side of the track. Is he trying to get in the head there of the man in front there, Connery?
He could well be. We just have to wait and see, and those mind games can be a bit effective. Just puts off all the drivers ahead and behind you, and well, it could make yourself an opportunity coming down into the corner that you perhaps didn't have initially, as Ugolotti still tries to hang on to the back of Parkins here, but it's still not going to happen. He's not as close as he has been as he gets another slide coming out of the corner there, and those rear tires I sense are just going away from Ugolotti right now. He can't be affording to spin those tires up even more, because we're looking at a zero-stop race for most of your drivers over the course of this race, and if you ruin those rear tires early, as again he pushes a bit too wide coming down into turn 1, then that can spell trouble for the rest of your race.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be worth him just sort of backing off just a little bit, not dropping out the DRS, but just to calm himself down, because he's getting a little bit sort of hot-headed and trying a little bit too hard. Just to back it off, let those rear tyres just cool down just that little bit before then making a push again. And the crucial thing was that Parkins on that last lap didn't have DRS as well, so that'll help Ugolotti be able to catch up that time. Just looking further back at Evan Lotharius, look at this queue of cars. There's half a second between him and Augusto, there's half a second between Augusto and De Jong, so pretty close action further down from 10th through to 13th. Those guys are all battling away for those championship positions.
Yes, they are, as Michel de Jong very close to the back of Ronaldo Augusto right now. Even though he was slower last time by, he's definitely caught up over the course of the last lap, but he gets a little bit of slide coming out the right-hander coming towards the end of the lap. And, well, here comes the DRS zone. Let's see if anyone can do anything with it. And it looks like all drivers in this train, apart from the head of it, is going to have DRS, but they're not going to make a good opportunity of it coming down to turn 1, as Augusto just runs a little bit wide, gets a little bit of the dust and debris on his left side tires. Not going to affect him too much right now, as Michel de Jong qualified 8th. He's down into that 12th place at the moment. He has some work to do to try and get past some cars and try and make a recovery drive of this race, as they took some different lines there coming through Atwood Curve. Augusto preferring more of an outside line, and Michel de Jong preferring more of an inside line, as closing up under the brakes now, coming down into the hairpin turn. And you have to remember that Calistani is behind this as well, and we know how fast Calistani is from previous races during the season, and this could be tasty coming into a couple of laps from now, I think.
Yeah, it's all coming to a head here, because I don't like to say this, but Augusto and Lotharius are holding up these two drivers, De Jong and of course Calistani, get caught up in that first lap incident that we saw earlier on. God blimey, it's already on to lap 15 here. The lap's just flying by today, and onto that pit straight once again, just not able to hold it. And that's the nature of this course. With that final corner, you're having to rely a bit on the aerodynamics of the car to be able to get a good run. And if you're too close to the car in front, you then slide wide, as in fact Ugolotti's getting pretty close now to Parkins here, just for looking further up for that 7th place here, Connery.
Yep, here he comes on the back straight right now. Ugolotti will have DRS and Ryan Parkins will not. That could be the deciding factor as they head down onto the brakes, coming down into the hairpin turn. Ugolotti on the inside line, and he will in fact take that position. Ryan Parkins not going to fight it too much, not able to carry the momentum around the outside of the corner, and that is finally Ugolotti past Ryan Parkins.
Well, now the question is, what can Ugolotti do here now? What sort of lap times can he do, and how quickly can he get away from Parkins and start looking forward towards Mark Warmington? Because Warmington's pulled out about 2 seconds of gap over these guys, so definitely some interesting opportunities here. And Ugolotti's looking quick out that final corner now, already pulled out half a second over Parkins. Parkins with that DRS not really able to keep up with him, so Ugolotti I think now is going to be just focused forward and pushing hard.
Yeah, because already about 0.7 of a second faster last time by was Ugolotti over Ryan Parkins, and that's just exemplifies that the pace that he has and how much he was actually getting held up by Ryan Parkins right there. It's another good run coming out the Atwood curve, means he stretches the gap even more so. Even though Ryan Parkins will still have the DRS, I think it's going to be a battle in vain. He goes very deep on the brakes coming down into the hairpin turn. That was about as deep as I've seen anyone go into that braking zone without pushing wide, and Ryan Parkins is going to need to do that a couple more times if he's going to close that gap to Ugolotti, but Ugolotti is definitely looking on top right now. As we have a little bit of a look back to this battle towards the back of the midfield. In fact, this is Evan Lathuris, Augusto, Michel de Jong, and Matteo Calastrani. They're still as they are the last time that we saw it, but de Jong is getting very, very close to that gearbox of Ronaldo Augusto right now. This is going to have to be a crucial run out of here. De Jong taking as much track as he needs coming out of the final corner. Still not going to have the run though. Augusto still had the straight line speed advantage there, so I have to wonder if he has a lower downforce setup than Michel de Jong has right now. De Jong's going to run a little bit wide into the gravel, into the dirt, and that's going to cost him a tenth or so, but he's still within this battle for P number 11.
I'm wondering if Augusto is saving up a bit of ERS charge and just using it down that pit straight just to help defend from that car behind, because de Jong not able to get close enough with the DRS alone. So definitely Augusto maybe just using that ERS just to try and help him get here. But a few mistakes from de Jong this lap has allowed Calistani now to get closer to the back of his car. So Calistani, not so much damage actually from that instant at the start of the race. I'm surprised by that. He's now putting the pressure on de Jong here, so it's ebbs and flows here in this battle for 10th through to 13th.
It definitely is. A messed up corner entry there for Michel de Jong. This may give an opportunity to Matteo Calistani coming down the pit straight, but of course they both have DRS because de Jong was within that 1 second activation of Ronaldo Augusto coming into the detection point. It doesn't the detection point isn't necessarily the DRS activation point. The detection point is sometimes just a corner or so behind the activation point, which is why that Michel de Jong had DRS coming down the pit straight. Does he have DRS this time coming down the back straight though? And the answer to that question is going to be no, but Calistani's still not close enough to make a move coming down into the hairpin.
It's so tricky as that exit of that hairpin because it's uphill. Your car wants to just squirrel away from you and push out wide, and yeah, you're not able to get the position there, and well, still pushing away as Calistani, not able to make any moves yet. Out front, Pete Berriman is taking it a bit easy at the moment. He's only 7.3 seconds ahead. Did pretty much similar lap times as Kazuki Mizushima did on that last lap, so those two at the front pretty as they were. Kevin Ellis Jr. 6.5 seconds behind them in third place, and Nicholas Rasmussen's dropped back from Ellis Jr. there in fourth place now, so field just settling down a bit here, and in fact Dennis Branch has had some sort of issues then because he's dropped back, and Lotharius now, Evan Lotharius, is putting the pressure here on Dennis Branch now, so it's now 9th place getting drawn into this battle.
Yeah, he doesn't have any damage to that car, does Dennis Branch in that Blue Flag Racing machine, but he must have made a mistake somewhere on circuit, as I'm trying to find it at least in the past lap right now. Nope, it doesn't seem to be. So something has happened to Dennis Branch to put him so far behind right now, and Evan Lathuris looking for that opportunity to get himself into that 9th place, just to cement his position inside of that top 10. But of course, you have all these cars battling behind as well that also may want that opportunity to get themselves into 9th place as well. Ronaldo Augusto, Michel de Jong, and Matteo Calistani. As let's see if de Jong manages to get a good run coming out of the final corner. Again, he's going to push wide, getting into that gravel. But Calistani doesn't get a good run coming out of the final corner either. So luckily for de Jong, he's not going to be vulnerable coming down into turn number 1. But we've seen a few mistakes settling for de Jong right now. He just needs to just calm down and just get back settled into a rhythm, because that car is looking oh so twitchy right now.
Yeah, it certainly is, and well, looking just ahead of them, they've sort of calmed down, but Lotharius and Branch, it's the battle of the American versus the Antipodean as they're going down that back straight, and Lotharius is looking, he's not quite close enough. I don't know if it's just me, but has he got just ever so slight bit of front end damage? He does, because of course he was the one who ended up getting into the back of those spinners on lap 1, wasn't it? So Lotharius carrying just that little bit of damage on the front there, not too much. He's able to keep up with Ryan Parkins, Dennis Branch, sorry, as Ryan Parkins has pulled away from these two now. So Dennis seemingly, for the time being, holding up Lotharius as we're heading in towards, well, it's now lap 21 of this race.
Yep, definitely. Evan Lotharis will get DRS coming down the pit straight. Oh, side by side behind. This is Ronaldo Augusto. This is Michel de Jong. De Jong's going to have the inside line coming down into turn number 1. But can Augusto do anything on the exit of the corner? The answer to that is going to be no. But he's still not over yet. He's going to get trapped in the dirty air a little bit. He's going to push back just a little bit. Will you have to dive one down the inside of outward curb? Nope. He's going to be a bit too far back because he also has to be a little bit concerned about his teammate Matteo Calistani behind us. Calistani's going to get a good run coming out the outward curve, but both PSR cars are going to get DRS coming down the back straight. And well, oh, here comes Calistani on his teammate, in fact, coming down into the hairpin turn, and a little bit of contact between two teammates, and they both push right onto the grass. Both cars have damage, and that's not how you want two teammates to behave. And they're still going side by side through the middle sector of this lap already as well.
Calistani has some serious front wing damage now. Look at him, all three teammates all around, and Calistani, in fact, is pulling it up. He's out the race. That's him done for the day. Augusto and Sabatov now having to represent the team, but major drama there for those guys. That's the last thing you want, is you don't want to hit your teammate, and that's exactly what has happened there. We'll try and get a replay up on screen for you. I hope I can get that up on screen, because I want to have a look at that again. I'll just cut the end of it. Let's just see if we can go back a little bit more. So we'll go on board with Calistani, and it's heading down this back straight. He's got the DRS, so is his teammate in front, and they're going to hit the brakes hard. Calistani down the inside, tries to make the move stick, and he just runs it wide. It's just understeers on him, and that's him off on the grass. And apart from front wing damage, I think he's got some steering damage as well, and that's him race done for Calistani there.
Yep, exactly. And, well, it was a tale of two halves of a corner for Matteo Calistani. Very late on the brakes, a little bit of entry oversteer, and then that turned into exit understeer, pushing him wide into his teammate. And as I said while calling it, that is not what you want to see between two teammates, and what I wouldn't give to be a fly in the wall in their radio chat right now.
Absolutely. We can look forward then. Branch and Lotharis, they're still going. Lotharis with the DRS. Going down towards turn number 1 once again. Not able to get close enough to Branch at the moment. And, you know, it's a question of what can Lotharis do here, Conrad, because he's been behind Branch now for quite a while, about 10 laps or so. And he's not really made any moves here. Is he just trying to put the pressure on Branch? Or just see where he's weaker and where he's stronger and trying to work those strengths? Because at the moment, Branch is just sat there and he's not really gaining.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the qualifying results for these two drivers, in fact, and Dennis Branch qualified himself into that 10th place, but Evan Lotharis was in 14th, but there was only a couple of tenths of a second between them, so that is not always going to be indicative of these guys' race paces. As we look towards Ruslan Sabatov and Ronaldo Augusto, they're going to head themselves side by side, coming through the middle sector, the Revolver and Piper section, shall we say, and Ruslan Sabatov's going to dive one down the inside of Redmond, perhaps, as they're going to take vastly different lines through there. Augusto just outbraked himself a little bit coming down into Redmond corner, so he has to take that outside line coming through there. And well, Augusto with well, not as much of a damage car as I perhaps thought he had with the contact, as actually they were side by side battling between Evan Lotharis and Dennis Branch, and that was actually Evan Lotharis getting himself through during turn 1. A move on the brakes it was.
We'll get a replay up on screen for that, just to see how that move was done. So it's through the final corner. You see how close that Lotharius got through that final corner, using the DRS there, possibly using some ERS as well, down towards turn number 1, and the light braking move there from Lotharius. And well, there you go, through he goes, the Antipodean up into 9th place now. Branch, he's going to have to watch out for Mitchell de Jong as they're going through this part of the race now, because de Jong, he's a little bit of man of the mission here at the moment. He's trying to gain positions. He's up to 11th place now after falling back after that start incident. And we're heading towards the halfway point of the race here, Connery, so everything, it's not really settled down as this race, really, has it?
No, it hasn't really settled down at all, as Michel de Jong will have the DRS coming down into turn number 1. A hopeful move on the brakes. It has to be for Michel de Jong, taking it side by side through turn number 1. But he's not going to have the inside line for the start of the Moss S's here. He has to hang it around the outside as they're going to take it side by side, coming down through the Moss S's. In fact, Michel de Jong still there for the inside line, coming down into outward curve. And Dennis Branch just pushes a little bit wide through there, and de Jong's going to have the run out of the corner. This is not over yet, though. This is going to be side by side coming down the back straight here. Michel de Jong will have DRS, but Dennis Branch will not have DRS. But because of that lower downforce setup, Dennis Branch can hold his own coming around the outside of the hairpin turn. But that is going to be Michel de Jong picking up that position, or is it he gets a little bit too much of the curb there, coming through the left-hander, and he messes up the exit completely coming out of Revolver, I believe it was. And that may have been a slowdown penalty. I think I wouldn't think of another reason that he was slow on the exit there without getting a huge tank slapper on. But that was an interesting chain of events right there, Paul, because Dennis Branch was able to hold his own down the straight even without DRS.
Hats off to those guys to be able to go side by side for the best part of a lap. Here comes de Jong once again, looking down the inside in towards turn number 1. Late on the brakes there. Can he make it stick this time? They're still going to go side by side in towards turn number 2. De Jong holding the outside in contact. Big contact, and that's it. They're out. Branch is in the wall. We're going to get a replay up of that one. Absolute disaster for those two guys, but, well, almost predictable, really.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic battling up until that point, shall we say. And, well, how would you call this one? This is coming down into the entry of the Moss S's, and Michel de Jong taking a very wide entry to the corner, just chopping off the nose a little bit of Dennis Branch. And Dennis Branch was pushing more towards the outside of the corner just a fraction of a second before that happened.
We're going to try and slow this one down. We're going to try and slow this one down. Have a look at this. So we're on board with Branch on the roll back. We'll look to the inside. He's always going to come out there. He's always going to run wide as the other car is coming across his nose there. And de Jong, it's very difficult there. It's, well, that's both of them out this race. It's a difficult one to call that, because Branch was always going to slide wide through there, and de Jong was having to commit to that later apex, which meant that the two paths were always going to come together. I hate to call it. That's a tricky one to decide on that one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one, but it's such a shame to have a fantastic battle that was going on come to quite an unfortunate end there. But sometimes that is racing. And just returning to the live pictures right now, looking at the rest of the field, in fact, and as a result of that incident, the pack has spread out quite a bit. There's still this battle going on for P number 10 though, between two teammates of the PSR team. That's going to be the 12 of Ronaldo Augusto and the number 4 of Ruslan Sabatov. And well, the PSR cars definitely have been in the wars, shall we say, not just with other cars but with each other as well, as we saw an instant a couple of laps ago. But Ruslan Sabatov has his work cut out here to catch up to the back of his teammate. Maybe having a little bit of a ninja car, maybe not. We saw that contact with Augusto and his other teammate Kalistani just a couple of laps ago, 6 laps ago in fact, but it doesn't seem like his car has been affected too much by it.
Yeah, it doesn't look to be too bad. I'm just looking ahead because Ugalotti's got a fantastic run on Matt Warmington. He's caught right up to him as they're heading down the back straight. He's got the DRS. He's going to look to the inside, is he? No, he's going to hold back for the time being. Interesting thing to note here as well, as my voice breaks there, we've got Nicholas Rasmussen. He's had a pit stop. He's decided to change tyres. The conditions here, look at the track temperature, 101 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's quite a hot track temperature here. And the Japanese tarmac here at Okayama is notorious for not being the grippiest of surfaces as well. So maybe we'll keep an eye on those lap times for Nicholas Rasmussen to see whether he can get some good lap times out those new tyres.
Yeah, exactly. Usually in this series, if it isn't a full distance race like we had at Interlagos and Monza, then you're kind of looking at a no-stop race is going to be the fastest way around the circuit for the race distance. But since this track is so heavy on the tires, the tire wear is pretty extreme around here with how many high degradation corners that it has, then maybe some of your mid-runners may sort of play the strategy card and actually come in for a fresh set of rubber to go towards the end of the race. And well, Nicholas Rasmussen is the only car that has done that right now. In fact, I'm just going to correct myself, because one car that is actually a lap down right now is also coming down towards pit road just a couple of laps ago. That is Esteban Oliveira. He has come down pit road. So the only two cars that have come down for scheduled stop are Rasmussen and Oliveira. Let's see if anyone at this point in the race, it is the pit window is open if you're going to do a one-stop race right now. Let's see if any of them join them down pit road.
Well, this is it. When looking at Rasmussen's lap time the last time out, he was a full second faster than the man in front of him. So he's got some good grip in that car, and he's got some good pace in that car, as we're still watching this battle between Warmington and Ugolotti. And, well, Rasmussen, he was in, fourth place when he came into the pits then. So whether he can make up those positions, that's very debatable whether he'll be able to do that because of the gaps that are involved. But he obviously felt that that was a chance for him. A 109.9. He's pretty much on the pace of the leaders there. In fact, Kazuki Mishima had a mistake on that last lap. He did a 111.7 on the last lap. So that lead battle pulling out. Here's Ugolotti looking to the inside again. Not quite close enough to make that move come.
Yeah, that's going to be the closest battle in Jap. Yeah, I was about to mention, I saw it flash up on my timing screens, the Apex Racing UK driver of Kevin Ellis Jr. heading his way down on towards pit road. So that is certainly very interesting indeed. Maybe he finds he hasn't got the pace to catch up to Peter Berryman and Kazuki Yamashima. Maybe he's just going to try a strategy instead and come down for that fresh rubber, because why not? At this stage in the race, if you're dropping further and further back from the race leaders, maybe you can do something to try and stem the bleeding, and that is definitely what Kevin Ellis Jr. has done at this moment in time, actually only letting one car through on that pit stop, and that is Mitchell McLeod as well. So it's definitely a good decision here from Kevin Ellis Jr. It looks like he's definitely, well, he has a very, very good chance of getting back past Mitchell McLeod, and then you can focus on putting in some fast lap times, as actually your leader is going to be in. And this is an interesting turn of events right here. We don't usually see this in this series, actual one-stops from your race leaders. Let's see how this turns out.
It must be the conditions. It has to be the conditions here. As I say, very hot track temperature, a low grip surface here. Berryman in and out, 3.8 seconds, the actual pit stop, and he's in the first pit stall there, so he's straight out onto fresh rubber and going. Kazuki Mishima, he's either got to decide to stay out there and just try and hold that position. He's 11 seconds ahead of Pete Berryman. Whether he'll be able to hold on to it, there's still enough time. We're almost up to the, about 23 laps to go or so. And, well, Berryman already going down that back straight is catching up as Nicholas Rasmussen, Matt Warmington onto pit road now.
Yep, he is, and meanwhile Ugolotti stays out on track, and that was the battle, in fact, that we were watching coming in towards Mark A. Warmington's pit stop. But what we didn't know is that was a couple of in-laps there for Mark A. Warmington, getting his stop done, 4.1 seconds in the box right there, and he's off and away. As well, this is, as I said, an interesting turn of events. We don't usually see this in this series unless it's a full distance race. Will some drivers still try to go the distance, as the famous Disney song goes, during the course of this race? We'll have to wait and see. Will the tires hold up towards the end of this race on such a high degradation circuit? That's definitely what we're going to be looking at right now, as Kazuki Umeshima has a little bit of a lap traffic to deal with. He has about a 10.5 second buffer last time by over Peter Berryman, and he can't be affording to be held up by lap traffic right now, as Mark Warmington does get out of the way very nicely.
Yeah, Warmington, the man who just come into the pits, and Well, through he goes, and Parkins is on pit road, so too is Ugolotti. So we've got people. In fact, Parkins lost. Did he lose a position there? No, he didn't. He was behind Ugolotti when they came into the pits. So Ugolotti pulls up to his pit stall. So do Parkins is just a little bit further down. He's pulled up now. 3.9 seconds for Ugolotti. 3.8 for Parkins, so nothing in it between those two. Where's Warmington in all of this? Warmington's just coming down the pit straight. He was behind. He was in front of Ugolotti before the pit stops. Those extra couple of laps there for Ugolotti, able to get the foot down, and he's pulled out ahead of Mark Warmington. So strategy call then, pulling through as Pete Berriman, fastest lap, a 108.934. We've dropped into the 108s now.
Yeah, exactly. Peter Berriman's absolutely flying on that fresher rubber right now. And if you're Kazuki Umeshima, you have to be thinking, maybe I can't hold this position coming towards the end of the race, and I'm going to have to come down to change onto a fresher set of rubber in the next couple of laps. And I just kind of want to go back to that battle that we had between Ugolotti and Warmington. I think the reason why Ugolotti managed to get himself in front after the pit stops was because we saw Mark A. Warmington had to slow down to let Kazuki Umeshima, your race leader, through. And that is what has happened there to make Ugolotti go out in front, as Evan Lathoris is going to head his way down pit road as well.
Yeah, so pit stop phase definitely happening. We've only got 13 cars left in this race, so it's been a race of high attrition here. We've lost 5 cars from this one. Down the pit straight they go again. Warmington with no DRS, so he's obviously not got the pace there of Ugolotti. So Ugolotti able to now just pull away and make it count. I think if you're Umeshima now, if you stay on those tyres, you will eventually lose the lead. If you come in for a pit stop, you will definitely lose the lead. So it's a question of whether he can make them last, or whether he's thinking, right, forget it, I've got a 30-second lead over Kevin Ellis Jr. Will he actually come out in front of Ellis Jr. When he makes a pit stop? And if he doesn't, he's then got fresher tyres than Ellis Jr., but only by a few laps. So, interesting call here for Umeshima. Whether he can make it work or whether he's just going to stay out on these old tyres is going to be interesting. As you can see there, 35 laps on this stint, and he's going to stay out for another lap here. I can't see this one working in terms of race win, Connery, but definitely I think he's just going to be holding on for that second place.
Yeah, we'll just have to see, because Kevin Ellis Jr., as you said, is 30 seconds behind at this stage in the race, and the maximum pit stop time, I'd say, is around about the 24-25 second mark. So Kazuki Umeshima still has a couple of seconds to play with here, as Peter Berriman does a 109.0, and that is 7-8 tenths of a second faster than Kazuki Umeshima last time by. That gap comes down to around about 8.1 seconds coming across the start-finish line. As we have a little bit of a look towards Ashley, that is going to be Peter Berriman making his way through on Ryan Parkins right there, and Parkins just saying, okay, you can just go through here. Peter Berriman on the back straight, and that's going to be crucial for Peter Berriman not getting caught into traffic here, as actually we will take a little bit of an advertisement break here on Raceblock TV. This is the iRacing Grand Prix Series, so we're going to be returning in just a couple of minutes. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to what is the iRacing Grand Prix Series at Okayama, live on Racebot TV and iRacing Live. And an interesting turn of events has meant that most of your field right now have come down for a pit stop, which is kind of unusual in this series. Perhaps a combination of the track conditions and the track itself has played a factor here, as the leaders are going to be closing in on each other. Peter Berryman has made his stop, and Kazuki Umeshima still out on old tires, and this is the one that's going to be interesting coming towards the end, as the rest of the field has spread out just a little bit. So this is definitely going to be an interesting one, Paul, coming towards the end. Kazuki Umeshima pretty much decided on his strategy right now. The pit window he's well outside the pit window right now. He's going to be staying out till the end, isn't he?
Yeah, but absolutely. Looking at this, we're just going to be starting lap 40 here, so we're going to have, what, 16 laps remaining. And just looking at this, it's a 5.6 second gap. Looking at the lap times though, Kazuki Umeshima, that last lap, 109.4, Pete Berryman, a 109.0, so 4 tenths of a second, or just under 4 tenths of a second, should I say. But still, it's interesting is that Umeshima is not really losing as much time as I thought there would be between the two of them.
Yeah, Peter Berryman was pulling out around about a second a lap early on in his second stint, but that seems to have tailed off just a little bit right here, because he's only gaining around about 4 or 5 tenths of a second a lap right now. So those new tires not as good as they once were, perhaps, for Peter Berryman, as the tires have dropped off quite a bit in the initial stages of a stint, and this may swing the advantage in the favor of Kazuki Umeshima. We have around about 15 laps to go, and well, if you just look at the numbers, you think, oh, this is pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered for Peter Berryman right now. But just to bring a Murrayism here is one thing. It's one thing catching, it's another completely to pass, as Peter Berryman pushes it a little bit wide in the final corner.
Yeah, when you make mistakes like that, that's not going to help you matters. It's still, he was 1/1000th of a second slower even with that mistake than his previous lap before that. So Berryman's on one here. He's determined to catch up, but he's 5 seconds behind. If he's going to catch at this rate, then he will be up with Kazuki Umeshima, and then it will be a battle of wills. And to be honest, with those fresher tyres, they're only 10 laps old compared to 41 laps for Umeshima. You would think that it would be Berryman's race to lose.
Yeah, and perhaps importantly as well, that is the fact that Kazuki Umeshima is kind of coming up on traffic at this stage. He has 2 PSR cars ahead of him. That is actually a battle on track as well between number 4 of Ruslan Sabatov and number 12 of Ronaldo Augusto. So he has to negotiate them first, and then hope above all hopes that Peter Berryman has a little bit of trouble getting past those cars.
Oh, Berryman has been catching up so much on this lap though. He's, I mean, you can see him, he's in the background of the shot there. He is absolutely on it now. A 109.7 for Umeshima, a 108.9 for Berryman. So he's absolutely pulling everything out the bag here. And the thing is, Umeshima now is getting close enough to those lap traffic who are battling for position, and we've seen how much those teammates will battle between themselves as well in this race. You'll see sort of how they'll get on and how things will be going, because these guys, there's no love lost between them, and Umeshima, he just needs them to get out the way. But Berryman now, he's just so much more quicker at the moment here. Just looking at the sector gaps here already. Sector 1, Umeshima just pulled out slightly, but then Berryman, middle sector, catching up a 10th, and he's going to catch up a little bit more in this final sector, that's for sure. One of them get out of the way of the back markers. That's good for Umeshima, heading down towards the end of the lap. So he's got one back marker between them, but looking at how easy he got past Augusto, sorry, that was. Looking at how easy he got past Augusto, I think Augusto will do the same for Berryman as well.
That could definitely be the case, as your leaders negotiate the lap traffic. Right now, lap traffic of, well, all the same team right now. It is PSR. The next bit of lap traffic after Sabatov, as well, have you seen, Paul?
Augusto, yeah, he lost control of the car on the exit of turn number 2. And that was the man that Berryman was catching up to put a lap on there. So we'll just get a replay of that because it was a little bit of a self-spin. But you look at Augusto through turn number 2 there, getting on the power early, a little bit too early, locks up the tyres. He's on old tyres, don't forget. These two, Augusto and Samatov, are two that have not been into the pits, so those guys, and look how much closer Berryman is now. He's absolutely flying here. He got a new fastest lap on that last lap as well, a 1:08.8, so Berryman, I think it's just a matter of time now.
Yep, I think so too, and perhaps those couple of laps where we saw him, he was a little bit slower compared to where he was. Perhaps he was just saving a little bit for a last couple of lap rush towards the end. We have about 12 laps remaining as Kazuki Umeshima comes across the line, and things are kind of looking inevitable now if you look at the timing screens anyway. But Peter Berryman actually has to do it before we can crown him the race winner. Right now he actually has to battle with Kazuki Umeshima first and then get past him. So it's definitely not all over yet for this battle for the race lead, as Peter Berryman still has to negotiate the car of Ruslan Sabatov, but he's going to catch him in kind of the right place here, coming on the exit of a corner. What have you seen, Paul?
And crucially, he gets a DRS as well.
Yeah, and that's just going to add a couple, well, it's going to reduce a couple of tenths of a second off of his lap time right there. As you can see, he's every single corner, every single apex, every single entry and exit. He's just getting closer and closer and closer with that fresher rubber. Kazuki Umeshima on what is 43, 44 lap old tires right now. He hasn't changed those tires since the start of the race, and you can just see right now Peter Berryman just absolutely stalking him through the middle sector. And as you said, just moments ago, I think this is going to be inevitable.
And looking further down as well, Nicholas Rasmussen on those fresher tyres has caught up to Mitchell McLeod, who hadn't made a pit stop, and it's for that crucial 4th position that Rasmussen pitted from. So if he can make that move, which I think he will do, then he will be justified in making that pit stop and getting at least 4th place. And yep, that's it. Looking at the timing screen here, he has made the move stick. And yeah, through he's gone then, has Rasmussen on McLeod.
Yep, and Augusto having a couple of issues as well. He spun the car yet again, coming down in towards the Moss S's. This was in his battle with Mark Warmington, in fact, as the race leaders are now very, very close indeed. You wouldn't believe the timing screens if it said that it was 1 second gap at the line, and it's so close right now by the middle of the lap. But that is what it is right now, as they head themselves down into Redmond Corner for well, coming up to 10 laps to go right now. And you have to be a very, very brave man to bet on Kazuki Umeshima to go towards the end of this race and still be in the lead with 10 laps to go. He has to defend for his life for 10 laps, but I don't see it happening, Paul.
No, absolutely not, as across the line they go once again. Umeshima in the lead here, and you look at those lap 43, Berryman was 7 tenths of a second faster, lap 44 1.5 seconds faster, lap 45 0.6 of a second faster. They're absolutely neck and neck now, and this is where he's going to make the move. He's going to get the better run out of this hairpin. Just look at the speed that he's able to carry here, and it's just a matter of time now. Umeshima without the DRS, Berryman with the DRS, looking to the inside here. He's late on the brakes, not going to make the move stick there.
Yeah, Kazuki Umeshima perhaps delaying the inevitable. We will just have to see as they head their way through Piper Corner in the middle sector of this lap. Kazuki Umeshima still ahead at this point as we're heading towards 9 laps to go, as Kazuki Umeshima just has a little bit of a trouble getting in towards the apex of Redmond Corner. And well, that's still going to mean that Peter Berryman is behind at this stage. But Peter Berryman now has to be thinking about good run out of the final corner, make a move coming down into turn 1 with the DRS. As actually Kazuki Umashima's going to get a decent run coming out the final corner. He still leads with 9 to go, Paul.
Yeah, he does, and this is where we're getting to see now the quality of these two drivers, of course, both with World Championship licenses, so they are at the peak of this, as Mishima runs wide there through 2. This is Berryman's chance. He's going to look down the inside. No, he isn't. He's going to wait for the DRS and contact. Oh. Around they go, and well...
Where is Ellis?
Kevin Ellis is about 25 seconds behind him. Umeshima has been left for dead there, and Berryman makes the move stick. We'll get a replay up on the screen here, and we'll have a look from on board. Pete Berryman here, so we're picking up just coming through turn number 2 here. And you look at Umeshima just run wide through the exit of turn 2. That gave Berryman the opportunity, looking down the inside. He's half looking, and bang, into the back of Kazuki Umeshima. Has to take to the outside, to the gravel. But, well, that looked to be as if Berryman was stuck between two minds and then picked on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say as well. He was looking for the move and then backed out of the move, then was caught just halfway between the two moves and ran himself right into the back of Kazuki Umeshima. Umeshima spun out from the race lead with 9 laps to go. That must be a hard one to take.
And what's Umeshima's tyres going to be like now? Because, of course, he was all locked up there. Had to stop it there, so he's going to be in a terrible state. Ellis Jr. Is now 12 seconds behind Umeshima. I don't see him catching up that gap unless Umeshima gets into some real trouble here towards the end. Mitchell McLeod, he's finally admitted defeat, and in fact he's got damage on his car as well, and in fact he's out the race, so he pulled into the pits, and that's him done. What on earth has happened to him?
We'll just have to have a look for that one.
Well, I've got him coming into the pits, but I can't see anything. I'm having a look before then. He doesn't look to have
it was coming out of that curve.
Yeah, I've just got it there. Oh, and he went and bounced up into the air off the wall as well. So yeah, that's McLeod's race done with.
Yeah, man, just a single car incident coming out the outward curve, just struggling to get the power down. He was on all tires at this stage, and those rear tires just completely gave up and just spat him out into the wall. So that's going to be at the end of the number 5's race right now, as meanwhile, Peter Perryman, perhaps adding insult to injury, at least from the perspective of Kazuki Umeshima, actually sets the fastest lap last time by with only just a couple of laps to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking further back, we've got a battle for 10th place here, Connery. Evan Latharis is having to defend from Daniel Laguris, and it is battle for 10th and 11th. Now, Latharis is 2 laps younger tyres, so theoretically you should have the more grip. However, it's how you've used those tyres through your stint as to how much grip you have towards the end of the race here.
Yeah, that'll definitely be the case, as we saw Nogueras involved in a battle last time out at Brands Hatch. That was a very difficult track to get past another car. Fortunately for him, that this is a much easier track to go side by side on, as he tries to hunt down the car of Evan Latharis. Will he get DRS? Yes, he will, coming down the back straight. So he's, fortunately for him, he's within that 1 second mark as he goes too deep on the brakes, goes Daniel Nogueras and spins it, well, half spins it through the apex of the corner. And I think that's position 10 slipping from his grasp now.
Yeah, he's dropped back 2.5 seconds now, so that one's pretty much done and dusted. Sabatov and Ugolotti now. Ugolotti, of course, has been in the pits. Sabatov has not. This is a battle for 5th place, and Ugolotti, to say that he started in 16th place, is now battling it out for 5th here as he's got DRS.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, this is going to be exactly what we saw for the race lead. Fresh tyres versus very old tyres indeed, as Ugolotti follows very closely, coming through the hairpin 10, coming through Piper and Revolver right now. And, well, you're just getting closer and closer, not able to make a move yet. Defensive inside line for Sabatov coming down into Redmond. Ugolotti's going to have to hang it around the outside. He does, and that gives him the inside line for the next right-hander as he pushes a little bit wide and doesn't make contact with the PSR driver, but Ugolotti is going to be through up into 5th place, and from 16th, that is a fantastic drive.
Yeah, brilliant driving there, and Sabatov, there was nothing he could do there. He was stuck behind, stuck with those aged tyres and front end damage as well on that car, so Ugolotti up into that 5th place. Impressive drive from him today. Looking down the rest of the field, it's all pretty much spread out now, Connery. 12 cars remaining in this event, so we've lost 6 cars. Mitchell McLeod we just saw with that incident. Dennis Branch is out along with Mitchell de Jong. We saw that incident live when it happened. Matteo Calistani we saw live as well. Toffoli and Domingo as well, pretty much towards the start of the race. So 6 drivers out the race, 12 still running but it's been quite an action-packed race here, Conor.
Yeah, and especially since we had the unusual strategy calls in the middle part of this race, some of the race leaders coming down onto pit road to get fresher rubber. As I said a couple of times before, we don't usually see that in this series unless it's a full distance race, and as I said again, it was a combination of the track conditions and how high degradation this track is by default anyway as well, and that has definitely paid for an interesting race here as we're coming down towards the end of it. There aren't really any close battles on track right now, so we're just going to be coasting towards the end of this race unless you've seen something, Paul.
Well, and unfortunately he's going to run out of time here, but Kevin Ellis Jr., the last 3 laps, lap 49 made 6.5 tenths on Umeshima, lap 50 1.5 seconds, lap 51 2 seconds he caught up to Umeshima, so he's trying his best, is Kevin Ellis Jr. on those fresher tyres, 22 lap old tyres compared to 52 laps for Umeshima, but to be honest, time's just going to run out for him, and he's just that too far behind, 6.5 seconds behind as they're heading in towards the second half of the lap here.
He still has a sliver of a chance, in fact. Just looking at lap times last time by, it was about 2 seconds faster. We are coming up to about 3 laps to go. This is still on the cards for Kevin Ellis Jr., in fact.
It is on the cards here, as the graphics in the top left do tell me indeed it is 3 laps to go here in this race. Let's have a look at the lap times as they go across this time. So Umeshima has done a 1:10.4 and Kevin Ellis Jr. 1:09.2, so that's 1.2 seconds. He's not catching up enough, I don't think, to be able to make a move on Umeshima, but it's going to get pretty close towards the end on that final lap.
Yeah, because the time they came across the line just before that, the advantage to Ellis Jr. was that 2 seconds that he needs to catch up by the end, but that time again he didn't get it, and well, he absolutely needs to put the afterburners on to try and make a move towards the end of this race, or hope for a mistake from Kazuki Umeshima.
And he's also got traffic to contend with here as well, because Marke Warmington and Ruslan Sabatov battling away for that 6th place. Warmington, of course, has pitted. Sabatov, as we've been mentioning, has not. Umeshima has made his way past these two. These two are battling, so it's going to be difficult for Ellis Jr. to make it through, because these two, they'll be one of those positions with 2 laps remaining in this one, Conor.
Yeah, and for this battle for P6, in fact, Ruslan Sabatov is on very, very old tyres, and Marky Warmington has come down at some point in the race for some fresh tyres. So again, it's a battle between fresh tyres and old tyres, and well, you know which one usually wins. It's going to be the new tyres, but it's going to be a couple of laps for Sabatov to defend right now, and he may be able to make it if he can keep Marky Warmington behind him for the battle for P number 6 and number 7. Kazuki Umeshima makes his way around Ugolotti, so that is all the traffic done with for Kazuki Umeshima, as Marky Warmington goes very deep on the brakes, trying to find a way past Ruslan Sabatov for P number 6, just not able to find a gap just yet as he drops back, coming through the sequence of left-hand turns right here. Kevin Ellis Jr. is behind these guys, and it looks to be, well, second place does look to be over right now for Kevin Ellis Jr., pending other extenuating circumstances that could happen to Kazuki Umeshima. But just looking, this is the battle that we're going to be watching towards the end of this race right now, as Pierre Berryman is actually, in fact, on his final lap. White flag is going to be in the air. This is going to be the last lap for Marky Warmington to try and find a way past the driver ahead of him, of Ruslan Sabatov. Actually, he just has to let Kevin Ellis Jr. through, as Kevin Ellis Jr. gets a huge slide on coming out of the first corner right there, and that may have also spoiled the battle that we were going to have for P number 6 right there. We will just have to wait and see. Marky Warmington has to put in a lap of his life right now to try and catch up right onto the back of Ruslan Sabatov, as Sabatov actually has to pull out of the way and lift out to let Kevin Ellis Jr. through. So this battle may be back on as we look towards the race lead right now. Peter Berryman is going to come through the final couple of corners. He has to get one more corner right to crown himself winner of this race here at Okayama. Peter Berryman will take P number 1 Berryman here at Okayama. Kazuki Umeshima will have to settle for the moment for second place, but this battle for P number 6 is still on right now, and Mark A. Warmington has closed that gap over the past couple of corners to Ruslan Sabatov. Only a couple of corners to go, but I don't think it's going to happen for Mark A. Warmington, as actually Ruslan Sabatov will hold on by the skin of his teeth to that P number 6 as they come across the line. And then meanwhile, Evan Lathuris, and I think that was Ronaldo Augusto, actually had a little bit of contact on the final lap there, coming in through the middle sector. This was an opportunistic move for Evan Lathuris, looking his way down the inside, and that just pinged Ronaldo Augusto up onto 2 tires and into the gravel.
Yeah, we're just having a look at the replay of that now. So into those 2 left-handers. Oh, Augusto was a terrible first part of that corner. Bang! Into the air goes Augusto. And, well, Lotharius, he'll be thanking his lucky stars that he hasn't got any more damage. Augusto did end up losing a couple of positions because of that, but big moment there. We'll try and get another look at that from on board here with Augusto. So Ronaldo Augusto really struggled through that hairpin. He's on old tyres, and then that first part, that left-hander, difficult one, and then down the inside, bang, up onto 2 wheels. You saw it happen there. And yeah, down a couple of positions for Augusto there.
Yep, it is. And well, on the final lap, you have to do everything you can to try and get past the driver ahead if you have an opportunity. And you can say that was a very, very hopeful move for Evan Lathuris down the inside. You can say that he may not have had a right to dive it down the inside as he did. But this is going to be the race results from this iRacing Grand Prix Series race at Okayama. It's going to be Peter Berryman taking P number 1, the race win here, and with a total race time of 1 hour, 4 minutes, 3 seconds, and 0.6 of a second. Then it's going to be Kazuki Umeshima holding on to second place with Kevin Ellis Jr. on the final step of the podium. He was catching Kazuki Umeshima coming towards the end of the race, but unfortunately for Kevin Ellis Jr., he ran out of laps to be able to make the move. Then it's going to be Nicholas Rasmussen. Actually, Rasmussen's going to be the final car, in fact, on the lead lap. Only 4 cars finishing on the lead lap. Then it's going to be Matteo Ugolotti, first of the drivers, 1 lap down in that P number 5. Then it's going to be Ruslan Sabatov involving himself in a battle for P number 6 with Mark A. Warmington, P number 7, coming towards the end of the race, and Ruslan Sabatov managing to hang on to that P number 6. Then it's going to be Ryan Parkins, P8. Evan Lathuris getting himself involved in the last lap incident, still holds on to P number 9. And it's going to be Daniel Nogueras. Ronaldo Augusto is going to drop to P number 11 after that incident with Evan Lathuris. Then it's going to be Oliveira, McLeod, Branch, and Michel de Jong after an earlier incident has to finish in P number 15. Matteo Calastani, Kleber Toffoli, and Mano Domingo is going to be your final car on the results sheet. Well, that was a very, very, very interesting race here, Paul, with the change in strategy, shall we say, and the differing strategies between P number 1 and P number 2. And what are your overall thoughts in general?
Yeah, I mean, what we saw there was the conditions coming into play there, as we were saying, very hot conditions for everyone out there, and how those different strategies, it almost worked for Kazuki Umeshima, but a few mistakes and those old tyres just ended up crying enough towards the end there. Kevin Ellis Jr. unlucky to get so close but not able to get that position for the second step of the podium. And we saw a few incidents as well, that first lap incident as well, which affected 4 drivers to start with, and also the incident between the teammates of Calastani and I can't remember the other one, who it was his teammate that was involved in that one. Was it Augusto, I believe?
Yes, it was.
That one. So plenty of incidents, plenty of drama, but it's Watkins Glen next week, which should always provide some interesting racing, shall we say.
Yeah, and it's going to be the final round as well of the iRacing Grand Prix Series, and it's going to be fantastic to see Formula 1 cars returning to Watkins Glen after a while, shall we say. And that is going to be all we have time for here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live, as actually it isn't going to be all we have time for, because we do have Peter Berryman waiting for an interview. And take this one away, Paul.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we have got Peter Berryman, the Apex Racing UK driver, joining us. P1 today. Just talk us through that race, because we saw with the conditions, very hot conditions, was that what made you decide to go for that pit stop?
Yeah, I mean, this is the first race I've done in IGPS in such a long time, so such a lot of things to get used to pretty quickly. Luckily, I had Kevin, asking him questions non-stop. Is it a 0 stop? Is it a 1 stop? And I think initially, we planned for a 0 stop, but in my head, I didn't think it was possible. So, I eventually made the decision to pit, knowing that I had a big gap anyways to Kazuki, and of course, I'm sure you guys saw what happened, but just one of those things that my tires were so much fresher than Kazuki's, and once you commit to that corner, it's kind of one of those corners that if you brake too much when you've already committed, you're just going to spin yourself, and unfortunately I couldn't stop the car anymore, and obviously a big sorry to Kazuki for that there.
Well, this is it. I was just about to ask that, because when we were looking at it live and on the replay there, it looked like you were caught, from what it looked like from us, it looked like you were caught between two minds as to whether to go for it or whether to just hold back, and unfortunately it just all came together and just a slight of contact, and Kazuki was round, but and you yourself had to take avoiding action as well.
Yeah, most of the time when following a car, I think it's much worse in GT cars, but it's very hard to spot your brake marker. So on the entrance to the corner, I'd poke my nose out so I can see where I'm braking. I've found my brake point, I've hit the brakes, and quickly I've realised, oh crap, I'm not going to slow the car down enough, and I think it was just it's completely my fault, a bit of a stupid mistake to make, pretty amateur mistake. Big sorry to Kazuki, I can't really say that enough. Feels like a bit of a dirty win, but I'm sure I would have won in the end, but not the way I would have wanted to win.
Well, this is it. The tire, you had the tyres there. You had the fresh rubber. It would have been a matter of time. You feel that you would have made that move anyway. It's not the ideal way to make that move, unfortunately, but unfortunately these things happen. Just before we let you get off, anyone you want to give a quick mention to just before we head off?
Yeah, just a big quick shout out to the guys at the team, and a big congrats to Kevin. I'm pretty sure that he's looking it's set to win the championship now, which is a very good achievement for him. So big congrats to Kevin.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for joining us, Peter. And, Connery, you could take it away with Peter's teammate. That's Kevin Ellis Jr.
Yep, Kevin Ellis Jr. Well, qualified in P3 and ended up finishing in that P3 as well. You were involved in an early race battle with a couple of cars that jumped you off the start. One of them of note is going to be that car of Nicholas Rasmussen. It's an energetic, shall we say, start of the race for you.
I didn't quite get off the line as well as I wanted to. Didn't drop the clutches as much as I wanted to, and then lifted a wee bit too much, so lost a couple of spots at the start there. And it really wasn't an ideal start to the race. I knew that if I could get off the line well and stick with Kazuki, I might be able to hang on for a wee bit, but that wasn't the case. So I was pretty eager to try and get by Rasmussen, but it was a pretty quiet race after that. After I got by Rasmussen, it was pretty quiet. Didn't see a whole lot of cars until the end there. I was hoping to get Kazuki in the last couple of laps, but I didn't drive well enough today. That's the be all and end all, I think. So, pretty happy with P3. Not a bad points day.
Yeah, exactly. And I was about to mention you not really being involved in that many battles, especially in the middle part of the race where you seem to be in a little bit of no man's land, a gap ahead of you and a gap behind you as well. And did that factor into your decision to just try and bite the bullet and come down for that one, for that stop, while Kazuki Umeshima stayed out?
Yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot to fight for. I kind of ruined my tyres early on behind Rasmussen, so I thought, may as well pit, try it, see how it goes. And after the pit stop, I just wasn't really driving well enough. As I said, I think I was turning the wheel a bit too much, scrubbing too much speed, so I was really kind of messy at the start, and I was only closing a couple tenths a lap, I think. And it was pretty boring, to be honest. Not really a whole lot of battling, but I kind of cleaned my act up a little bit at the end there, but had a few laps too late. I think I was 2 seconds behind Kazuki at the end, which was kind of disappointing. But I just thought pit, see what happens, and it didn't really change a whole lot. I had a big gap behind, so wasn't a whole lot of pressure there.
Yeah, exactly. And coming towards the end of the race as well, Kazuki Umeshima and your teammate in Peter Berryman had shall we say, a little bit of an altercation coming down into the outward curve. One of the first of many hairpins here at Okayama, and Kazuki Umeshima, we suspect, had a little bit of damage paired with the very, very old tires they had on the car. You were catching 2 seconds a lap. And, well, if you were able to continue catching 2 seconds a lap, then you might have had an opportunity on the final lap. But did you just go for it right on the final couple of laps there, knowing that Kazuki Umeshima had a little bit of an incident?
Yeah, I was on TeamSpeak with Peter, and I heard him say something. Yeah, I looked at the relative and saw the time difference, and kind of got my head down. I was trying to squeeze out a couple of 108s at the end there, but I think my poor driving at the start kind of killed those tyres, so I was able to pull off like low 109s, and yeah, a bunch of lapped cars at the end there as well. Really wasn't ideal, to be honest. I think there's about 4 lapped cars between Kazuki and myself, so that really wasn't ideal. But yeah, I gave it all I could at the end there, and I reckon one more lap I could have had a bit of a go maybe on the last couple of corners. But I think I finished where I deserved today. P3 was roughly my pace, so I can't really complain.
As the situation sometimes is in racing, just one more lap for Kevin Ellis Jr., perhaps, to get himself past Kazuki Umeshima. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, anyone that helps you out on track?
Well, first off, a huge thanks to all the Apex UK guys, Peter, Jamie, and everyone else on the team. You know, Peter's been working really close with me this week, helped me with the setup and analysing my driving as well. He's one of the ones who kind of picked up on me turning the wheel too much, so I've been working a fair bit on that this week, and really noticed that the last half of the race there. I just kind of thought back to what he told me, and that really helped as well. And David Strid as well for spotting for me today. He's great for getting the strategy done. He does all the hard work behind the scenes, so you know, he gets a huge props. I tend to do the easy part. He does all the number crunching, and yeah, he just does everything. So without him, I really couldn't finish these positions as well. So huge thanks to all those guys.
And thank you very much for coming into the commentary booth to come and speak to us as well, Kevin. And again, now that will be all we have time for here on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live. This was the iRacing Grand Prix Series at Okayama. It's Watkins Glen next week, and that will be a fantastic race. Bye-bye.